Bechonu there. Keep quiet. What do you know about marriage? You are just out there, single, chopping the life of your head. Don't get married because you want kids, or because you have kids, or because you are pregnant. Those are not good reasons for marriage. So this idea that people who choose not to get married, either at all or after a divorce or after whatever, that there's something inherently wrong with them is wrong. And a lot of those people too put themselves under pressure. You find people who want to get married but who cannot get married. You find them feeling bad, feeling depressed, feeling down, feeling downcast. Why? Maybe you are not meant to get married because your purpose does not require marriage. Have you even stopped to ask yourself that? If there is one thing that I got right in my life, we need to stop telling people that God created marriage for everybody, and so everybody has to get married. We need to stop that narrative. That narrative that it was God that looked at man and decided that it wasn't good for man to be alone. And so by implication, anybody who is not married, they are a malfunctioning piece of equipment. Not only is it false, it is dangerous, and it has ruined and is ruining many lives. And this whole idea of God made marriage for everybody, so everybody has to get married, it comes from Genesis and from the Genesis mandate. And I'll break it down. Don't worry, I won't bore you. I won't go into heavy theology or anything. I just need for us to understand what is going on, because as I said, that narrative is false. It is not true. Not everybody needs to get married. So God created everything, and then he made man. He created man to be the steward and the manager over those things. And then the mandate: be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, dominate it. Yeah, I mean, you know that. It was in the context of that purpose, because that was the purpose for which man was created. It was in the context of that purpose, of that assignment, that God said it is not good for man to be alone, because he couldn't fulfill his destiny. For example, how would he reproduce alone? He was not an amoeba, what we call amoeba. They are amoeba. He was not an amoeba, neither was he a starfish. God did not create or engineer him to reproduce by himself. So God created a female for him to aid in reproduction and to fellowship and collaborate together and fulfill the assignment to steward everything he had made. It wasn't in a general context. And so Adam's purpose is not everybody's purpose. For example, Adam's purpose was not Jesus Christ's purpose, which is why Jesus Christ did not need to get married to fulfill his purpose. Marriage was not a requirement of purpose or for assignment for Jesus. And by the way, do you know that Jesus was not a nuclear family man? No, he was not. This is our idea of family: father, mother, son, daughter. Jesus was not a nuclear family man. He was not a family man. Let's be clear about what I am not saying. I don't mean to suggest that Jesus was anti-family. No, he wasn't. He took care of his family. He took care of his mother. But he did not elevate marriage the way we elevate it over everything. He did not think that marriage was a necessity. He didn't see marriage as a necessity, as we do, which is what we're telling people. Otherwise, he would not have said that anyone who does not hate their father and their mother and their brothers and their sisters and their wife and their children and even their own life, anyone who does not hate those things is not worthy of me. He said it, and it wasn't a parable. As we used to say, he said it oha. It wasn't a parable. Now I know somebody will say, oh, don't talk about Jesus. No, his case is special. That's our savior, Kolomo, Akondaeda, and Olorun far away, and so on and so forth. Meaning that he's special. He was unique. Okay. What about Saint Paul? Apostle Paul. Apostle Paul said that a person who is not married can focus on their purpose and on their calling and on their ministry. In short, they can focus on God. But a person who is married is distracted by trying to please his wife, so that he wishes that everybody could be like him and focus on ministry and purpose and calling and their assignment instead. But that he understands that as a concession, if you find that you are not able to hold yourself sexually and you are burning with desire, it is better to get married than to burn. So as a concession, get married. His preference, his first choice was that you shouldn't get married so that you can focus on your purpose and your assignment. But that if you must, then as a concession, do. That was his second choice. So Apostle Paul too did not marry. He did not need marriage to fulfill his destiny and his purpose and his calling. It was not required. It was not a requirement for him. What about Mother Teresa? She didn't require marriage to fulfill her destiny and her purpose. And there are too many people to mention. Do you know that arguably the greatest scientific mind of our time, Sir Isaac Newton, was not married? Did you know that? That Sir Isaac Newton was not married. He dedicated himself to his purpose and his calling. Ludwig van Beethoven was not married. Queen Elizabeth I was not married, and she was the one who radically changed the fortunes of England, and so on and so forth. Number two, when God said that it is not good for man to be alone, that reference to man there, that word man there, was not a reference to the species or the tribe or the race of men. It was not like, it didn't mean that it is not good for human beings to be alone. No. In the Hebrew, the original language of that text, it is that it is not good for the man to be alone. That word in Hebrew is ha-adam. Ha-adam. The man. It was the man, that God meant. Ha-adam. The man. Now, I must let you know that over the ages, Jewish tradition and Christianity have applied God's reference to the man. They've applied it to the whole race of men, to human beings, to the species of men. And it is okay, because in their application, they also don't mean marriage. They mean that it is not good for human beings to cut themselves off from other human beings, because we were all created for fellowship. We were created for service to one another. We were created for service to humanity. Thus, in no context can the Genesis mandate, when God said it is not good for man to be alone, there is no context in which it is a universal application to marriage. None. That's not what he meant. That's not what the text means. Marriage must be approached through the lens or through the lenses of purpose and assignment and calling and ministry and productivity. In other words, before you get married, you must ask yourself, is marriage necessary for me to fulfill my purpose or my destiny or to be productive? Is it necessary for me? Or barring that, if you cannot arrive at that conclusion, then at the very least, you must affirm that getting married is not going to hinder me from my purpose or from my ministry or from my assignment or from being productive, right? Because sometimes you just want to get married. You just like marriage. Maybe you've seen your parents' marriage and it encouraged you. Maybe you've seen your friend's marriage and it encouraged you. Or maybe you just met somebody that you cannot imagine spending the rest of your life without. You love them and you just want to spend and you want to marry. Or maybe it's for tax purposes or for estate plan, for whatever reason. You just need to affirm at the very least that getting involved in that union or that institution will not stop you from fulfilling your purpose or your assignment. So this idea that people who choose not to get married, either at all or after a divorce or after whatever, that there's something inherently wrong with them is wrong. And a lot of those people too put themselves under pressure. You find people who want to get married, who have actually tried to get married, but who cannot get married. You find them feeling bad, feeling depressed, feeling down, feeling downcast. Why? Maybe you are not meant to get married because your purpose does not require marriage. Have you even stopped to ask yourself that? This one that you're trying to get married by all means, and every year you're putting yourself under pressure, and you're sad, and you are depressed, and you are not happy, and you have become a prayer point for everybody. Have you even stopped to ask yourself, is it necessary for my purpose or for my destiny? Do I even need to get married? Or am I doing it because society says that is what must be done? As we begin to round this up, let me use myself, let me humbly put myself forward as an example. Not as a perfect example, mind you, no, by no stretch of imagination at all. Right? And it is with a sense of humility and responsibility, but it is that I know my own story. I've walked through my own shoes, so I can present it to you. You see, as arrogant and as delusional and as naive and as entitled and as heady and as wild as I could be as a younger man when I was single, and I could be those things sometimes, somehow, the universe, I was fortunate, the universe gave me enough wisdom to figure out that I not only needed to get married for my own purpose and destiny and ministry, if you like, but to know the type of person to whom I needed to be married. So take this for example now. Will this make any sense to you? Even if I had some level of providential wisdom and I knew all these things that I am telling you now. If you learned that I was not married, you would most likely not take me serious. Even if all these things I'm saying are factually correct, but you learned that I was not married, you'll probably be like, be chonu there, keep quiet. What do you know about marriage? You are just out there, single, chopping the life of your head. and you take it upon yourself to be telling us what happens inside marriage. How do you know, Oga? That's what you most likely say. So I had a sense, and this is not the entirety of my destiny, there's still more, but I had a sense that I needed to be married to fulfill my purpose. The second part was that I definitely knew that I needed to be married to preserve my life when it came to dealings with the opposite sex. I was successful. I was on TV. I was what you would call a celebrity. I was a popular person. When you are in that type of position and you have those type of advantages, your dealings with the opposite sex become very easy. It becomes very enabled. And I was tending toward excesses already. And I knew that the only way that I would be able to preserve my life going forward, the only way I was going to be disciplined with women and with sex, was to limit myself to the loving confines of a marriage, a relationship, a committed relationship with vows. I knew that if I committed myself to somebody and I was accountable to somebody, that it will greatly help my discipline in the area of dealings with the opposite sex. I tell my friends, my inner circle, my mentees, that if there is one thing that I got right in my life, it is in the choice of whom to marry. And when I say that, please don't misconstrue me. I'm not boasting. And I don't mean to suggest that it is perfect, that our marriage is perfect. No. As a matter of fact, we could divorce. We could also divorce. God forbid, but we could split up. People who have stronger and better marriages than us split up every day. So when I say it was the one thing that I got right, I don't mean to suggest that it is perfect. No. What I mean to suggest is that whatever due diligence that needed to be done, I did as much as could be reasonably expected from any human being, any conscientious person, any serious person who wanted to get married. I took my time. I researched. I asked questions. I counseled with mentors. I did as much as could be reasonably expected of any human being So that if my wife and I divorce tomorrow, my conclusion will not be that I married the wrong person. No. My conclusions will either be that I got it wrong and I didn't need marriage to actually fulfill my destiny, or that part of my life is over, and that for the next part of my life going forward, to fulfill destiny and purpose, that I do not need to be married. My conclusion will be either of those things or both of those things. But it will not be that I married the wrong person. It is that type of conviction and mindset that I want you to have as you contemplate and are considering marriage. You must be sure that this marriage is required for your purpose. Leave all those other things that we have learned and that we speak about in culture. Love and all those other things. Children. I will speak on that next. Don't get married because you want kids, or because you have kids, or because you are pregnant. Those are not good reasons for marriage. Alright. Kò jẹ́ bó ṣe jẹ́ o. Kò sí lọ́njọ́ mọ́ lónìí o. I don't know who used to say that. He got divorced, by the way. He got a divorce, by the way. And I was a child when that happened. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. And please share this with somebody who might need to hear it. Bye.